Hey everyone, this is part 2 of 2 of my video guide on towers in Minecraft speedruns. This video is going to be more focused on actual tower builds, specifically for the pre-1.9 RSG speedrun category. The footage we're looking at now is the current world record for pre-1.9, held by Illumina. It's a 23-minute and 53-second run in version 1.7. In this video, I'm going to run down the two main tower types that you can build for these versions. I'm going to also go over the differences between versions 1.7 and 1.8 because both of them are runnable, but they have some pretty big differences. And then we're going to go into an actual build and example run for a tower in version 1.7, and then we'll do the same thing for a tower in version 1.8. And at the very end, we'll compare the build times, the example run times, and the amount of Enderman and Ender Pearls for those two runs compared to this world record run by Illumina. So the first of the two tower types I like to refer to as the sword tower. I know I'm committing a sin in the pre-1.9 community, not referring to tower designs as a three-letter acronym. Pretty much everything is a three-letter acronym there, but yeah, this is also referred to as the world record tower, or WRT. You'll find the two main tower types are differentiated by the methods you kill Endermen. And so in this one, you aggro Endermen, they get close and you just kill them with a sword. And we'll find in the next tower type, you'll aggro Endermen and dig a really deep hole so that when they aggro to you, they'll actually fall and die to fall damage. So I like differentiating these two towers by the method where you kill things, so that's why I'll be referring to this as sword tower. But yeah, Illumina did get world record with the basic version of this tower, so that's why it's commonly called the WRT. GeoSquare, I know, did a ton of initial work designing this tower build, so he's kind of the one that put the most time into this one, but it's a pretty basic build. You just bait Enderman in, and as long as you have the right platform and bottom section, you just kill Enderman with the sword without taking damage. So the second type of tower here is my personal favorite because it's has high potential, but it's a little weird. This one I like to refer to as the Pitfall Tower. It's commonly also called the Rapid Pearl Tower, or RPT. And the basic idea of it is you just bait mobs to fall to their death. Endermen have 40 health. The first 3 blocks you fall doesn't deal any fall damage, and so you essentially need a pit dug out below you that is at least 43 blocks deep to kill Endermen. The downsides to this is that it kind of takes a while to build up and to build down, but the upsides are pretty obvious. It doesn't take very long to kill Endermen. As long as they path to you, they'll immediately die, so it could be pretty fast. Seaskull is basically the original creator of this, came up with the designs and initial work for this, so we have Seaskull to thank for this cool idea. But yeah, this one is my favorite because I don't know, it's just so funny. I really like seeing Endermen fall to their death like that. So yeah, it's going to be a pretty big difference building this tower in version 1.7 versus 1.8 because of Enderman aggro and some other changes. So next we'll get into the differences between the two main versions. Okay, we're going to speed run this section. Version 1.7.2 resets worlds a lot faster than any subversion of 1.8, so you can spend more time playing good worlds as opposed to looking for them. The orange parts of Desert Temple are made out of wool in 1.7, in 1.8 they are not, which is why you can get all the beds you need for a run in a 1.7 Desert Temple. In version 1.7, tall grass will actually block mob spawns at night. In 1.8 they do not. So if you're looking for an ideal location to build your tower in 1.7, choose a flat desert, but in 1.8, if you see a flat plains versus a hilly desert, you want to choose the flat plains to build your tower in. Sheep now drop mutton in version 1.8. 1.7 blazes are normal, 1.8 blazes are a mystery to the known universe. They don't need line of sight to shoot at you, they shoot at each other. Sometimes they stop shooting you when you attack them. On average, they're slightly faster, but they are bizarre. Endermen are very different in these two versions. In 1.7, they get confused over the most basic pathing issues. That doesn't happen in 1.8, but you can no longer aggro them from too high up. If you are 6 blocks above where an Enderman is standing, instead of the aggro range being 64 blocks, it's like 10. Endermen also do not re-aggro when hitting the legs, so the towers I was showing you before with the sword in version 1.7 will not work in 1.8. Endermen are also faster, which means if you're running away from them on land, they will probably catch up to you and kill you, but also they just tend to run away from you for no apparent reason. Okay, well, with that, we're ready to move on to an actual tower build. there are hundreds, if not thousands, of different towers that have been used in Minecraft speedruns, all personalized different ways. And so I kind of like to think of towers as a core, which is based on your version and your tower type. But then there are a ton of additional add-ons and features. You can attach your tower to make it, personalized, spice it up here and there. So here's a list of a lot of common ones that I know. And here are the ones I decided to add on to this first tower example. I put a ledge at 115 blocks above the ground, which I talked about in the first part of this video. I decided not to put a safety chest in this one, but that's pretty common to store all of your items in case something goes wrong. I would usually recommend having some type of anti-spider build in your tower, because if a spider gets on top of your platform and knocks you off into a creeper, it's kind of game over. In this one, I use lava to have a faster death, so my cycles are faster. Every different tower build has a different type of way you can kill yourself faster to reset. And in this one, I highly recommend using a single ladder as anti-skeleton creeper tech in the sword-only tower, and I'll show you what that looks like in a sec. The other two Pitfall tower only add-ons I will use and I'll go over in the next tower example. All right, so here's the start of the build with my starting inventory. You can pause or slow down the video if you want to see the build in more detail. I always like to write down my ground level Y height there first, so I don't have to remember. And that single ladder on the sand right there is the anti-skeleton creeper ladder. I'll talk more about what that does and how to use it in the actual night cycle example using this build. But yeah, that's the basic setup of the sword tower, is just those slabs and leaves. This is the anti-spider overhang kind of build right there, that ring. Spiders can climb up your tower, but they won't be able to get above that little ring. And then it's pretty standard, 3 planks, 3 ladders to catch yourself when you fall. You break those couple leaves just so you can scout out for endermen and aggro them. And yeah, I'm gonna skip ahead to the part of the video where I get to the ledge here, but it's just pillaring up from here. Alright, so after pillaring straight up for a while, I'm looking for 115 blocks above the ground level, and that's where I make this little ledge right here. You could also use a ladder right there. Ladder or just a basic ledge work just fine. I then like to use 14 leaves and then do my 15th block as a plank right there, and then put my bed. So my bed will be 130 blocks above the ground, which is a couple higher than the minimum 128. You cannot use a leaf block next to your bed. It's not a valid respawn location, so you do need some other block and at least one position next to your bed, but that's the build. So this build takes just under 2 minutes, and I did want to show not a full night cycle, but at least part of a night cycle to show you kind of how this tower works and talk about some of the features around it. The basic idea of this tower is that lava and trapdoor beneath you. As long as you close that trapdoor once you go in it, lava will kill you quickly, but your items will stay above the trapdoor. And what I'm doing when I drop to this ledge here is I'm looking at the entity counter in the top left to get a rough idea of, when it's like 80-90% towards the mob cap, then I decide to drop because most mobs are going to be pretty close by. On these first few drops, I like to prioritize killing spiders. In this version, you pretty much always want 3 strings so you can make a bow. So it's pretty important at the first couple drops that you kill spiders and keep checking your inventory for string. You'll notice the kind of anti-spider circle I made out of leaves. Means spiders can't get all the way up to this top platform above the ladder, but they can get in between. So I can still hit them with the sword, but at no point will I ever get knocked off into the surrounding area into a creeper. The last key part of this is that anti-skeleton creeper ladder that I'm on right now. Skeletons target your head, kind of upper torso, and so we don't really care about getting hit by skeletons, but we do care if they accidentally hit a creeper, because the creeper will aggro onto them and blow up half your tower, and the run's just pretty much dead. So you want to always be careful of your height in this little area so that skeletons aren't gonna shoot at you. Usually like halfway through the night or so, I like to, if I don't see any endermen around me, I like to jump off and collect my pearls around. When you're doing ledge strats, there's kind of a lot of mobs, so this can get a little bit crazy, pretty risky. But I do this once throughout the night because I like to make sure that none of my items hit that 5-minute despawn timer, and I don't despawn any pearls. But also to just get a general feel of how well it's going, how many pearls I've collected already. So usually once about halfway through the night, I will go take this risky little journey out and collect all my pearls, and then just keep doing things as normal. So at this point, I'm going to skip ahead to the last drop of this tower, kind of show you how you can sleep and exit the tower at the end. All right, so at some point during the night when you feel like you have enough pearls, you do kind of like one last drop. I felt like I was pretty close to 12 pearls here, but wasn't really sure, so spotted 3 more Endermen. Decided this was probably going to be my last one. I have enough string. So sometimes zombies will kind of grab some of your items around. So sometimes they'll grab, they can actually grab a stack of pearls. So they can grab multiple. I like to kill them before my last drop here. They won't despawn though, so you can kind of just let them go and do your respawn thing. But I like to kill them before I sleep. But once you sleep up here, it'll be day. You can grab your bed if you think you're going to need it for the end fight. If you have plenty, you can leave without it, but this will make it day, so no mobs should really spawn on the surface besides ones that are already holding an item. Nice thing about sword towers is you can kind of just break one block and get out of here pretty easily, as opposed to the Pitfall towers. So yeah, just collect my items. This took about 6.5 minutes, and I got 15 pearls this night, which is pretty solid, at least 3 string. Pretty successful night, but yeah, we'll go on to the next tower build. Okay, so for the second build example, I want to show a different version and a different tower type for some variety. So this is on version 1.8.9 using a Pitfall tower. And again, we can kind of choose whichever add-ons we prefer. I like using 115 block ledge. I always like putting up some extra blocks for anti-spider stuff. I decided not to put a quick death option here because the better options for a quick death are using lava. And in this case, I decided to go with a pearl check, which uses a water bucket. So the pearl check is basically put a trapdoor and a water block at the bottom of your pit, so that when you're falling down and you want to check how many pearls you have, you just have to MLG right-click the trapdoor, and then you'll land in water, check your pearls, and you can either decide to keep going at night or just end the night right there. The last one is the sand pillar, which you'll use either sand or gravel to build most of your pillar up, and that'll help you get your items at the end of the night faster. I'll show how that works in this example. So in my inventory in this starting example has some gold tools and a stack of sand. This is kind of assuming you've already had a desert temple, which allows you to use TNT on sand and use gold for gold tools. Not necessary for this, but it definitely speeds things up. Using the door and trapdoor there is heavily inspired by Toby. Came up with some of the initial ideas for this tower. So that is basically what allows Endermen to be tricked into falling down when they aggro to you when you're standing above that door. And the rest of the build is pretty much just slabs, leaves. It's pretty simple, and you're going to pillar up about, I don't know, five leaf blocks here or something, and then you're just going to do sand and put your 3 ladders down to catch yourself when you fall. The sand, I'll show you exactly what that does later, but basically you break that and the pillar of sand falls down, and your items, which you'll collect at the very bottom of the pit, will rise all the way to the top. So this point is just pillaring up to the ledge, so I'll skip forward to that point. So as long as you have at least 40 blocks of sand or so, that's good enough to make your tower out of to push your items to the top, but the rest can be made of leaves. Again, I put a ledge at 115 blocks above ground level, then put 14 blocks of leaves, and then the 15th is plank and bed. After this, you could drop down. The amount of damage you take there is up to you. You can put ladders as well. I like to actually have a faster death, so I don't really care about taking damage. And here's kind of the anti-spider overhang. I just put a bunch of leaves around there to make it so that there's no way spiders can jump up to me on that platform. And the only thing left to do here is just to dig down at least 43 blocks. I like digging down at least 45. And again, gold tools are going to help you out a lot. I will mention timing here. You can sleep starting at about 10.5 minutes into your run. But mob spawns don't really peak until about 11 minutes in. The light is still a little bit dim from 10:30 to about 11 minutes. So here I just put the pearl check, trapdoor, and water, and then die at the bottom, and you'll respawn at the top and be ready to start your night. So again, it does take about a minute longer than the sword tower, but if you can sleep immediately 10.5 minutes, the first 30 seconds aren't too wasted because there aren't that many mob spawns, and so you can start dropping for your first night at about 11.5 minutes. So same idea as before, I'm going to show a few cycles using this exact tower build during a pretty good night that I had experimenting with this tower. It's pretty simple. The idea is basically you want to aggro Enderman by looking at their torso. You want to aggro the ones that are further away, typically first, because it takes them a little bit of time to get there. They are faster, but you'll see commonly they run away multiple times after teleporting before they get to the tower. And then you also want to try to bait skeletons also to fall down the hole. Skeletons have a chance to drop arrows, which can save you some time, even if you get 4 to 8 arrows during one night, which is pretty typical with this. Could save you a good amount of time getting flint or chicken feathers. So this tower is nice that it gives you that. It will not automatically give you string. Spiders are a little too wide for this, so you'll have to either get string from a stronghold library or leave some mobs out during your last drop so that you can pillar back up and kill like a few spiders during the day. But in general, I've had much faster rates with this. It's a longer build time, but you should get pearls a lot faster using this method. So at some point during the night here, I'll count maybe 20 to 25 Endermen, and then I'll go do a pearl check. So I'll show you what the kind of end of this night looks like and the pearl checking process. So skipping ahead here in the night, hasn't been 3 minutes yet, but I think at this run I counted about just short of 20 Endermen, and on this last drop I saw quite a few. So I decided on this one I wanted to do a check. So I don't always get the right click on the trapdoor when I drop every time. It's pretty reliable. I'm not super great at it, but I can get it most of the time. So you just do that, and I see that I have 13 pearls. So you just want to remove this stuff. Make sure all of the sides of your pillar all the way up are blocked. And then die whatever way you want down here. I mean, you'll pretty much always have a flint and steel, so this could be done a little bit faster, but you just want to make sure that fire is out before you die. And then sleep in your bed. Again, you can decide not to sleep in your bed to try to spawn spiders and get string that way. I decided here just to get the pearls and arrows at the end. So this is where the sand pillar comes into play. You'll basically break one leaf block that's holding the sand pillar up, and then the trapdoor also needs to go. And because all of the sides of the pit are blocked, your items, if blocks are filled in this pit, will just be pushed to the top. And so you just have to wait a few seconds and you'll get all your items, and you'll be on your way. So again, not necessary. You can always pillar back up. It takes a little bit, but yeah, and this night I got 13 pearls and 4 arrows. No string, but every extra arrow kind of helps. So there's different ways to play this. So yeah, about 4 minutes. Really good night, very fast. Yeah. All right, so now that we've gone through the build and the night cycle for these two tower examples, I wanted to compare them to Illumina's world record run to give you kind of a point of reference how they stack up. So Illumina's tower and the 1.7 sword tower are pretty much the same, so the build time is pretty similar. The Pitfall tower does take an extra minute, of course, because you have to dig down, but the nighttime for Illumina's world record run was about 5 minutes to get all the pearls he needed to leave. My example was about 6. The difference here is because Illumina is just a god gamer. Even without a ledge, he was just able to get so many Endermen pretty quickly. So he just has more experience. And even with my limited experience, though, the 1.8 Pitfall Tower was able to shave a minute off of the night. And if we look at the total time here, the 7 minutes of build plus nighttime compared to the Pitfall is pretty similar. But again, though, I think the time save is a little more substantial than it seems in the Pitfall Tower here, because the build time, most of this can be done during the day before you're allowed to kill mobs anyway at night, and so the time save in the nighttime of 1 minute or more is pretty substantial. If you have a really good overworld and a really fast nether, and you know, you have some extra time in order to invest into a build in order to time save even more during the night, I think it's a pretty huge advantage. The Enderman kills here are again pretty similar. You can get a pretty good amount of Enderman in a Pitfall tower halfway through the night. The pearls is just, you know, luck based, but I thought I'd throw it on here. In a good night, you're going to get above average pearl drop rates, so they're pretty solid here. And yeah, I think a good metric here to measure these is the amount of Enderman you can kill per minute of night. Obviously, the Pitfall tower is going to be more, and you do get skeletons as well. It's just kind of how the tower is designed. So I think honestly, players who are serious about going for pre 1.9 world record or even sub 30 attempts, I think should have both a sword and a Pitfall tower build in mind. Try them out, see what they prefer, see what add-ons they like using, and kind of adapt to the situation. If you have a really insane pace run, I think going with Pitfall tower is definitely viable. If you're a little bit late and it's already night, maybe just go with a simple sword tower and hope that you get good pearl drops. So yeah, I think being versatile and having both builds in mind is the way to go. Okay, well, I know it's been a long video. At this point, I would usually go over tips and tricks, but there's kind of too much to go over, to be honest, in these towers. Experience is huge here, so I would highly recommend just going over these builds over and over, doing a bunch of night cycles over and over and getting experience. It'll tell you a lot pretty quickly. I did go over the 1.7 sword and the 1.8 pitfall variations of these towers, but there are videos of the other ones. So I know Sharpie has been working a lot on a 1.7 pitfall tower. It's very elaborate, very efficient. So I'll put a link to that in the description below. I know Toby and Haru have put in some good work in a 1.8 sword tower pretty recently, so I will also put links to their stuff in the description. These versions are pretty old, but honestly, with the resurgence of pre 1.9, with the tournament recently, there's been a lot more interest in these things. So honestly, new stuff is coming out every single day. So I'll try to keep the description updated. But yeah, hope you enjoyed the video, and good luck using towers.